Men of Reddit, what innocent behaviors have you changed out of fear you might be accused of wrongdoing? As a teenager I spent many times at a bus stop freezing my ass off, baking in the sun, or being soaked by the rain. As a result I always promised myself that when I was older and driving a car and I spotted someone out in harsh conditions that I would offer that person a ride to wherever they were going. Now, however, my desire to not be arrested prevents me from even presenting the offer. I stopped shaving my head. I used to do it just because it was easy and I hate going to the barber. I had a couple buddies who also had their heads shaved. One because he was pretty much bald by 18, and the other because he had surgery that required it and just started keeping it that way. One day as we were walking through the mall after seeing a movie, I noticed that people were moving to the opposite side of the walkway as we made our way through the mall. Suddenly it hit me. We were 3 white guys in leather jackets with shaved heads. We looked like skinheads. I never shaved my head after that. I work in hospitals a lot. Being a big dude around a lot of young tiny nurses is asking for trouble. Sometimes I need to ask them for things which requires them to walk to a windowless supply closet. It's a spacious room that locks from the outside and from the inside. The supply closets are also safe rooms in case of active shooter events. First time I asked for something I followed the female nurse into the supply closet. The door slammed shut behind me. I didn't really think anything of it, but she slowly turned to look at me with a terrified look on her face. I now hold the door open and wait outside when I need something. I'm a large dude. I seem to get more scared of this at work. I've been told I'm intimidating in meetings. I pay close attention to my tone and body language now. I stare at the elevator doors with my headphones on, especially when a lady gets on. When the kids' charity uses our offices for events every few weeks, I go to a different floor to use a private bathroom so I'm not alone in a public bathroom with any kids. I volunteer at Cub Scouts. No parent or scoutmaster, predominantly male, is allowed to take the children anywhere alone, not even to let them play in the gym after the pack meeting. A female colleague was leaving the company. I offered a handshake. She asked for a hug, which I gave. I told her that in a company with 60% women, you never assume a hug. She nodded and said fair point. I have a bad back. I asked for a place to lay down occasionally during the day for short periods of time. They told me to use the wellness room, which is built for and decorated for nursing moms, and it's outside the women's bathroom. I told them a 6 feet 4 inches dude with a beard laying on the floor outside the women's bathroom is not a good look. They agreed. I lay on the cold tile of the handicapped bathroom now. All it takes is an accusation, even if wholly unfounded. The conversation will always be there. I make sure I don't even put myself in that situation. However, I'm also father to 4 kids, 2 of which are girls. I've never had a problem or strange look from any parents while playing with or watching my kids. I think that's because I'm engaged with them and playing with them. They call me dad a lot, and we're all affectionate. Context clues help in this case. I would sometimes give kids a ride home after youth choir practice at church if their parents didn't come for them, but no more. When walking at a faster pace than women, overtaking them is tricky. You have to overtake very quickly so they don't have time to worry and just think you're in a hurry to get somewhere. If you're only walking 10% faster than them, and you're slowly coming behind them, they're gonna get weirded out. So yeah, I changed my methods and pace when overtaking a woman while walking at a faster pace than her. I'm very paranoid about my interactions with young females now. When I was 13 my younger sister was 5. We would have wrestling matches where she would attack me and I would do the basic over the top WWE wrestling throws and moves ending with me tickling her into submission. She would scream wrestle I throw her, repeat until she's bored. Basic big brother stuff in my eyes. Fast forward she told her mom, my half sister, that I wrestle funny word for word that's what she said to her crazy ass mother. Next thing I know I'm knee deep in a child abuse case and being investigated by CPS. Of course it was determined nothing happened but it tore our blended family apart. Ever since then I'm paranoid about any one-on-one interaction with a young kid, especially a female with no other adults or witnesses present. I understand being cautious and reporting suspicious behavior but my sister saying I wrestle funny shouldn't frick my life up. I won't give women of any age compliments. Not too long ago I was shopping at a local grocery store and saw a girl, maybe 26-27, who had this awesome bright orange hair. When I walked by I mentioned it. "Hey, I love the hair color. It looks fantastic." She reported me to the store saying I was soliciting her. I'm a clean-cut 21-year-old guy who had a cart full of groceries. Walking behind women for a few streets. Feels like I am following them. Purposely take a turn and sometimes cross the road or take the long route. Try all the way to their third floor apartment because you are neighbors. Looking up when walking upstairs. IDK always paranoid someone will accuse me of stealing glance. I work as a manager at a fast food place, so I work with a lot of teenagers. Pretty much I have to play people are lava so I don't accidentally bump into one of them. We've had a lot of young managers date the crew and do inappropriate things so I want no part of that liability. I've been getting driving lessons recently and after the first one the instructor dropped me off and when we were organizing new lessons we just said we would meet at the same place. It's outside a school. We probably met there about 10 times at various parts of the day in a car with massive driver learning school stickers all over it. A woman came up to me yesterday and told me how it was weird that two men met there and how people were talking and how there were weirdos about who people thought were selling drugs and how we wouldn't want anyone thinking we were weirdos. I just kinda laughed and said okay thanks, we'll meet somewhere else in future but she just kept on and on. I had to walk away when she was in mid-sentence. It was pretty insulting. You should have told her that if she wasn't there to buy any crack she should probably just move along. When shopping with my wife and she wants to try stuff on I just have her text me pictures of her outfits if she wants my opinion. We were at Macy's a few months ago and I was just patiently waiting outside the dressing room waiting for my wife and she would open the door and step out to get my opinion. I was just looking at my phone and minding my own business when I noticed people walking up to me. A middle-aged woman had gotten a manager and she had brought a security official of some type and asked me to leave or they would be forced to call the police. It was super embarrassing and now I feel super self-conscious when shopping with my wife. Sticking to myself at shopping centers. I'm a tall, 6'3", bearded man who grew up in a small town of about 800. So I grew up holding the door for anyone, saying have a nice day or howdy everywhere I go, and help anyone with anything if they need it. It's just how I was raised. One day I was headed to my girlfriend's house and decided to stop at Walmart to grab some snacks on the way down. I was 20 years old at the time, but for as big as I am and the beard you could confuse me for 25-30. Anyhow, I was standing in the chip aisle and noticed a little girl no older than 5 wandering around looking frightened. So I walked over and said are you lost? And she just kept saying mommy so instantly trying to do the right thing I thought to take her to the cashier so she may call over the loudspeaker and call for her mother. As I walked she held her hand up to hold mine and I thought nothing of it, being as I was only doing the logical thing. Next thing I know the mother runs up to me screaming and snatching her daughter up, calling me a kidnapper and threatening to call the police. I tried explaining the situation and where I was trying to take her. Unfortunately she was an uneducated moron and at that point I got a little heated and decided to tell her to maybe not let her child run off next time. Moral of the story, I tried to do the right thing not even thinking about how it would look for a bearded man to be walking with your little girl, even though they shouldn't have been left alone. But it's definitely something I'll never do again. Making small talk with women in elevators. People get really weird when I discipline my daughter, like since she's a little girl she should be able to do anything she wants. Compliments to strangers, acquaintances, co-workers. Nice shoes, nice shirt, hair, etc. I keep it limited to that. Say nothing physical, personality based. I don't help people get through subway turnstiles anymore. A while back, I was entering the NYC subway and the person in front of me was struggling with a turnstile. She had just swiped her Metro card too slowly and it didn't register. She tried again and it worked, but when she went through the turnstile the rolling luggage she was pulling along was too far back. It wasn't going through with her and to make things more confusing, the bag blocked the turnstile from letting her through. I tried to explain to her what was going but she replied back in French I'm pretty sure, and well, I don't speak French. So I pointed down to her bag and said your bag and pointed to the turnstile. She was confused and tried to swipe her card again, which not only wouldn't have helped but would have double charged her. So I quickly put my hand on the card swiper to stop her and said, "Don't worry, I'll help." At that point, I grabbed the handle of her bag, the one attached to the bag itself, not the telescoping one she was holding, and told her to go through the turnstile. "Go," I pointed. I lifted her bag over the turnstile as she walked through, helping her past it. I had done a good deed, except she apparently didn't see it that way. I think she thought I was stealing her luggage because the look on her face was shocked horror, and she ran from the turnstile as fast as a 5 feet 4 inches person with a too big bag can run through the NYC subway, saying something like "no no no" the entire time. When I first traveled to NYC, I was going up the escalator at Penn Station and I accidentally bumped into the girl in front of me. I had hit her backpack. I said sorry, but she immediately gave me this awful look and took her backpack off to make sure I hadn't done anything or stolen anything. Welcome to New York, I thought. For some reason I get watched heavily when I go into some stores, so I try to avoid putting my hands in my pockets and going around corners or blind spots. I love when the store worker comes to rearrange items on the shelf right next to you. Walking behind women, especially at night and or if they're alone. It seems like I'm following them or something when I'm just trying to get to a destination. I try and cross the road if I can, but it's frickin' proper alarm bells if the woman does it too. And what can I do? Shout, "Hey, I'm not weird. Don't be afraid." I'd be better just sitting and waiting for them to get far ahead. I'll just look over here for some minutes until you're far enough away so that you know I'm not a predator. I don't volunteer with kids as much. I've got 4 kids, 3 the same age. So when my kids were in the nursery at church, my wife typically volunteered from time to time. I stepped in to do her shift one week when she was sick. About 15 minutes in, I was told that having a male in there made other parents uncomfortable. Out of 5 kids in there, 3 of them were mine. For me, mostly being very aware around kids that are not my own. I have a 2-year-old boy who is now very active at playgrounds but still needs a lot of attention when there. This occasionally brings me into contact with other kids. I feel very anxious at times with this. If they talk to me, I try to respond with non-committal answers. If they fall over, I'm going to think twice before going over to help, for fear of people thinking bad things are afoot. My wife has no such issues. She can talk to other kids all day and it not be weird, or anyone question her. It is sad. Being a dad is the best part of my life and I love kids. I'm a softie, but we are now paying the price for the evil in the world. As an instructor for a marching band, I am acutely aware of how I must speak to my female students. There are certain sayings I do not use and I do not presume to touch the students, despite that being a common technique for a visually oriented activity. Even slight things as a tap on the shoulder to let them know to relax or to stop scrunching up. Also, I do not friend any of my students on Facebook. I have to ardently keep those professional boundaries separate. The jokes I make in public are completely different. So with you on that, my humor is pretty dry. Like 40% of it is just saying completely inappropriate things in a deadpan voice. Combined with a button-down appearance, I can usually get a laugh, but it also needs highly specific context. If someone asks if you're going to the meeting and you say you would rather be anally electrocuted, people at work start to talk. If I find myself coincidentally walking behind a random woman with both of us alone after dark, I will make a detour or just stop and wait for her to get further away because I don't want to look like I'm following them. When hanging out with my nieces, I didn't give a frick about hugging them or playing with them, or holding their hand in public. You know, normal human being crap which they often initiate. Now, I often think, oh frick, everyone is going to think I'm some kind of predator. I completely ignore kids. I don't look at them. I don't talk to them. I pretend they don't even exist. The last thing my long-haired, goateed self needs is to be accused of being a kid diddler. Well, same here, man. I used to be fun and playful around kids, but now I do exactly as you do, even towards my own relatives who are kids. It's a sad world we live in. Checking the clock at the gym. Sounds stupid, but there's a reason. I like to time my rest between sets and can't be bothered setting a timer on my phone. Anyway, the clock is over the cardio section of the gym. Bikes, cross trainers etc. and is almost always occupied by women. Only recently I realized it totally looked like I was checking out chicks' asses, and not in a subtle way, and so I had to stop. Going out of my way to try and connect with women I am interested in, or just friends for that matter. When I talk with friends and hearing from other women about how creepy some men are cause they try to make plans with someone they are interested in, it scares me that I am doing the same thing. When people stop texting me I don't try and restart a conversation later on in fear I am acting desperate or clingy. I give women too much space when I feel that they need it and then they get mad cause I didn't try and rekindle the relationship. That's how my last relationship ended. It's something I want to work on, but that constant nagging in my head that I might be too creepy clingy keeps me from trying. Being friendly or helping children. I was walking home from work along a very busy street. Loads of pedestrians. A little girl around 4, maybe not sure, run past me from behind and face planted the ground. Looks really sore. She has a few DVDs and they scattered across the ground. I immediately stopped and knelt down. I handed her one DVD and then asked if she was okay. She didn't respond. Looked around for a parent but couldn't see one. I just wanted to help but I'm a man so I totally didn't feel I was allowed to. Another guy stopped and seemed concerned. Looked at each other and that was about it. Luckily her mum appeared, thanked us and checked she was okay. I just left. I'm annoyed I wasn't able to help. Helping children. Growing up I've always wanted to help people, so I joined the police. I've got a good career ahead of me. I've waved to children before, because they waved at me, either because they've seen me in my patrol car or because they are being children. I waved back. I got called a predator. I overheard a conversation about a lost child inside a clothing store, and I found him. I knelt down, told him my name, and that I was a policeman. I took him by the hand and returned him to his mother and the security guard. Again, I got called a predator, and both of these incidents, it was my then girlfriend who said it. Being friendly towards children. I'm a straight guy who volunteers at the swimming pool. I train children aged 7-10 years twice a week. One parent has asked me multiple times why exactly I love doing it and one straight up told my superior she didn't trust me. It hurts. Take cutlery on picnics. Had a cop slam on his brakes and vault a fence to confront me for brandishing a knife, while I spread peanut butter on my 3-year-old sandwich at the playground. Offered the good officer a snack. Be grateful the cop didn't get you on attempted bribery. 2. You've been visited by a dog. It's a regular dog but he's a good boy. If you comment pet 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 he'll let you pet him. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check out another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.